All right, this was the scene last night at NRG Stadium. The walk-off from Jake Bates for the Detroit Lions, and that would do it. A comeback in that second half by the Lions, who had trailed 23-7, and they win 26-23 over the Houston Texans. A tough loss to digest for the Texans, but in this league, you got to move on and get ready for the next one. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Inside the Texans. We do this each and every Monday live at 11 a.m. to 11:30 here on KPRC2+ and our YouTube page as well. We're talking some ball this morning. I don't know how you're feeling this morning, the day after that late finish last night, but we will do it. Joined now by Aaron Wilson, our Texans insider for ClickToHouston.com, and back with us again. He was here several weeks ago, former Texan, veteran, NFL veteran, and Texans ambassador Cecil Short. Cecil, we saw you there at the stadium last night as well. We got a lot to get into because people woke up in bad moods today. Like, how did we blow that lead? The Texans, 23-7, shut out in the second half. How concerning is the way this game was lost? Cecil, we'll start with you.
You know what? To be up 23-7 and to continue your second half struggles. I think they haven't scored a touchdown in the second half since week 6. I think that's New England, if I'm not mistaken.
England, yeah.
Wow.
That's disturbing. That's disturbing. And you came into the game losing 2 out of your last 3, now it's 3 out of the last 4. And you were in a situation where Detroit was, honestly, they're playing the best football in the NFL, in my opinion, right now. They're probably the best team in the NFL as a week 10 and going into week 11. And you had them on the ropes. And you proved you can play, and you were figuring things out. In the second half, you punched them in the mouth, and then they fought back and clawed, and it's very concerning, if I'm honest, right now.
Yeah, Randy, it's a lack of second half adjustments, and it's the other team figuring you out and a lot of the basic stuff that they're doing. And it's like everyone's playing chess and they're playing checkers. It goes back to protection. It goes back to the game plan in terms of the play calling. It's very predictable. A lot of run, pass. And the screen game, it doesn't work for them. Mm-hmm. And to not be able to use Joe Mixon in a more effective manner when we know how talented he is, this was a big step back. I know Detroit's good, but this hasn't happened except for one other time in the NFL where the quarterback throws 5 interceptions and is trailing by 15 points or more. They come back. According to the Live Sports Bureau, Johnny Unitas threw 5 picks back in 1970, and the Bears win.
This doesn't happen.
It doesn't. And when you have 5 turnovers, it's hard for me to look at the defense side of the ball and say, hey, you need to do more. Like, you did all you could. You put them in situations, them being the offense, like, hey, you need to drive down the field and get points. And you have to get 6 points. I know it's good to get in 3 and all that good stuff, but you need to finish with touchdowns. And you're more than capable. Tank Dell was open a lot last night. If you go back to film, I think that the All-22 comes out tomorrow, you'll see Tank Dell open all over the field in different moments. You have to be able to hit those targets and hit those plays.
And I want to get into that because people are saying, is it the O-line? Is it CJ? Is it a combination? If he's not, whatever the reason is, I want to dive into all that. Let's take a look at some of the final numbers coming out of the ball game last night. With the loss, Texans fall to 6-4. You see the numbers right there. CJ Stroud, unfortunately, this has been more consistent of late, tied into this pressure he's seeing. 19 of 33. 232, touchdown, 2 picks. Mixon, the run game was not there. The holes just weren't there. They've been doing a decent job on run blocking, that offensive line. But you're averaging 2 yards a carry. That's not going to cut it. Mechie, though, and we'll talk about him as well here a little bit later in the show. Mechie had a nice breakout, especially that last series of, I believe, the first half that led to that touchdown. But you see some of those numbers. Let's start, before we get to the sound with D'Amico, the run game. Let's talk about the run game, and we'll get more with Joe Mixon. That had been there in recent weeks, and Lions shut that down. There was nothing there from Mixon all night.
They did a good job. DJ Reader and company, I think their front seven did a decent job against the run. I guess the frustrating part for me is, okay, you couldn't run the ball because of how well you ran in the past. That was their mindset coming in. Let's stop the run, stop the run. Yeah. It should have opened up the play action. It should have opened up the passing game, right? You should have been able to attack downfield a little bit more and be more fluent and more efficient down the field. Sometimes it's going to happen, right? 25 carries. I'm glad they stuck with the running game. They tried the screen game. It didn't work right. But the passing game needs to be there. You have to be more consistent. And what's happening is so much pressure is getting on CJ as far as the four men come in or the blitzes or whatever. He's not setting his feet. He's not on his proper platform and delivering good balls. If he gets back to that, he'll be fine. But right now, he's a little bit rattled.
Right.
Take a look real quick at we'll continue our chat, just the megaphone poll questions up for the viewers watching right now. How concerned are you about the offense? We'll see how that measures out with the fans here, but kind of following up what Cecil said, run game not there, numbers down for C.J. Stroud a little bit as protection there. And I'm wondering, and you just mentioned that Tank Dell, we're going to see on the All-22 that Tank Dell was open. Is that part of the pressure coming on C.J., just the lack of time to throw the football?
I personally think so. I think it's a little bit of, and I've been a part of teams, I put it in the nice way, that if you don't protect your quarterback up front, it ruins their careers. It really puts things in their head that maybe it's not there. Maybe I got more time than I thought I did. They kind of loosely start scrambling or not putting all their oomph into it as they should. Again, off-platform throws. CJ, for rookie year, and you guys know this, he's going through his progression in the pocket, making a tough throw, somebody could be in his face. You're just not seeing some of the stuff that he's used to technique-wise, and I think that's from the pressure that he's been in the last few weeks.
Speaking to that, yeah, you don't want to chase ghosts out there. Yes, sometimes the rush is real, and sometimes they're just disguising and they're pretending that the rush is coming. When you get happy feet, when you start throwing off your back foot, as he is, and this doesn't make him a bad quarterback, it just makes him a damaged quarterback, and it becomes an emotional and mental thing. This is a game of emotions and a game of thoughts. And right now, his mind is expecting and reacting to what's been happening to him, which is getting knocked on the ground. He was sacked 4 times. Speaking to the running game, a lot of penetration, 9 tackles for losses. When they're in your backfield, Joe Mixon can't get anything going because you're having DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil and all these guys in your face and Josh Paschal. When they're attacking you and you've just gotten the football, I mean, you got to be Barry Sanders reincarnate to be able to get free from this and to make a run. And it all goes back to the offensive line. The shuffle, it worked a little bit with the pass protection. I thought the run blocking, they took a step back.
I agree. Just going back to CJ and his passing, if you look at, remember the week 1 Indianapolis game, how great of a pass it was on 3rd down to Nico Collins on the right side. Just the accuracy, him, somebody in his face making that throw. The interception he threw yesterday, I think was the first interception of Carlton Davis, a 5-yard out route to Tank Dell. The out route needs to go to the sideline. It should never be inside. That's uncharacteristic of him. He's very extremely accurate. He knows where he's supposed to be with the ball. But when you put the ball inside in the out route, you're causing yourself trouble. And that's just him rushing the process because of the pass rush, the pressure has been there.
And the other interception, and this one, you're rolling out.
Oh, he was open.
You have time. He's
about
open.
The one in the end zone?
In the end zone. You underthrow him, and he's wide open. It's late arriving. And it's one of those ones that just, and you can see how frustrated, how mad he is at himself. And he took all the blame. He was the most accountable guy in the world.
Very professional.
And CJ just can't play that kind of football. That's got to be a touchdown. It would have been the dagger, I think, for them to be down that many points.
Let's listen in. We got a little bit from D'Amico Ryans after the game last night.
Yeah, second half was not good enough for us. We didn't play winning football. We stalled on a lot of drives. Again, didn't score any points in the second half. So, to beat a good football team like that, we have to be able to sustain drives. We have to be able to score points. And we were going backwards way too much. We didn't make the plays to win the game. Like, however you win, you got to find a way. And to win games, you got to have guys have to step up and make plays, and that's not happening. It's not good enough turning the football over there, especially in red zone or coming out. We talk about getting started in the second half, and we talked about being better in the second half, but to come out and turn the ball over the first play of the second half and to get in the red zone where we have points and to turn the ball over, that's not winning football. It's frustrating, of course, right, to play against that offense, high-powered offense, and to be able to take the football away. That's what we hang our hat on, is taking the football. So, we took the ball away, but it's about team football, right? And we didn't play complementary football today, and that's what wins games, when you play complementary football, and it didn't work out for us today. And we have to look at everything, Sarge, look at all the play calling, what we're doing, what we're asking our guys to do, and, make sure we're putting them in a good spot to execute, and guys have to take ownership and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. We stalled a little bit there defensively. I think it was nothing, about being tired or anything. It's just us consistently executing, and that's what, I believe in, just out-executing our opponent. And, when things got tight there at the end or in the second half, just like we didn't execute. We had multiple opportunities right, to get off the field, but we didn't make those plays.
All right, head coach D'Amico Ryan, some of his remarks after the game last night, a 26-23 loss to the Detroit Lions. Let's circle back. We got some video too. Let's circle back on C.J. Stroud and kind of dive a little bit deeper into this pressure he's seeing and kind of what we saw last night against this Lions defense and forcing, just not a lot downfield, pressure coming, not only last night but in recent weeks. Cecil, we'll start with you. I mean, you look at the next few weeks as games they can win, but our team's starting to figure these guys out. The tape's out. Can the O-line just flip a switch or what?
The O-line, I'm not going to say flip a switch. Can they get better? Yes. I'm always the optimistic guy, right? I'm always the one thinking like things will be okay. It can get better, and I think you saw some steps taken last night in the pass pro. It wasn't as bad as it was Thursday night, right? It wasn't as bad as it was a couple weeks ago from there.
Yeah.
So they can get better. To answer your question, do teams figure you out? Yes, they do figure you out, but you have to make adjustments. That's what Aaron was talking about. When they make adjustments, you have to come back and make adjustments. You have to play chess. You can't just take, all right, once they make an adjustment, we're just going to still do what we do. No, let's make a minor tweak. Maybe instead of running the out route, we run the in route, or if they're jumping the out route, now let's go 5 and out and up, right? A quick out. And if he's jumping that hard, oh my gosh, he was ready for a double move, right? So just finding ways to make small adjustments that can make a big impact on the offensive side of football.
Aaron, I want to ask you, you and I were talking afterwards, after Sports Sunday last night, some of the remarks, and I wasn't in on D'Amico because we're out on the field going live, but he made one remark regarding the offense. I think Sarge may have asked him, I think he said about the offense, and D'Amico, and I don't know the exact words, something like everything's on the table right now as far as
say those words.
What kind of adjustments do we need to make here?
When you say everything's on the table, a lot of people have misinterpreted him very often in this market. He is not firing offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. You don't have other guys on the staff that have been play callers. You don't have a lot of choices. This is your offense. Slowick cloned the Kyle Shanahan system, put his own little touches on it. You have to stick with him. It was just last offseason he was a hot head coaching candidate. It's not all on him. Some of this has to go to the general manager, too, the construction of this offensive line. They've paid a lot. They've also put a lot of draft capital into them. Those guys have to play better. And this line shuffle that we reported on before the game that they used, Juice Scruggs as a guard. It worked in the playoffs. No pressures, no sacks for Juice. It was his first game at guard. I guess there was some rust. I think Patterson's better at the line calls. That was one of the reasons they made this move. It can work, but you have to let it play out. And you got to have some patience with Slowick, who's only in his second year as an offense coordinator and play caller himself. So I think to get this comfort zone, they're going to have to really take a deep breath. Do I think he's going to do a bunch and change things? Who are you going to bench? You going to bench Tunsil? Of course not. You're going to bench Shaq Mason? You're paying him $12 million a year? I don't see a change coming. They already made the change. You can fire Chris Strausser if you want to. You could up Cole Popovich. You could do those things. Does that necessarily fix the problem? I don't think so, Randy.
Cecil, you played the game. Is this, when you're going through something like this as a player, when, to his point, you can't just start pulling guys. It's just like, is it one of those look in the mirror, hey, man, I've got to find a way to take my game from here to here?
Absolutely. I think Joe Mixon talked about it like it's about executing. Like you look at the plays last night, Bobby Slowick didn't throw interceptions. No. You know what I mean? Bobby Slowick didn't miss any blocks. Bobby Slowick wasn't, running the football or trying to catch. Like those guys that are out there as a former player, you have to make those plays and you got to be consistent with it, right? So they have to find a way. They got to dig deep. I know they had the players only meeting last week, and they got off to a good start. But you have to find ways to get better and finish football games.
I think he did play some wide receiver at Michigan Tech. Bobby back in the day, but I don't know if that'll
All right, let's listen in. We got some from post-game comments from C.J. Stroud at the podium last night at NRG Stadium.
It seems like it's different every week. I feel like this game was on me. Definitely got to make plays, got to make throws. Can't turn the ball over and when we're in scoring position. So, I blame this on me. I got to be better in those moments. So, it's really just got to go down and score in the red zone, and our defense is getting the turnovers like they were. So, you got to be able to, reward them with points, and that's something we didn't do. So, I feel like I'm the one to blame when it comes to that, turn the ball over in the red zone. So, it's all about what happens in between the lines. That's what fuels energy. So, when you're not executing, it means no one's going to be smiling ear to ear. So, the more you execute, the more it's fun, and that's something I think the more we execute, we can get have more fun. At the end of the day, got to execute plays and that's my job to lead the offense to score points, and you know I didn't do that today. So we're not gonna point fingers or you know I point at myself, and then two, you know, we got to just move on from this and still understand we just took one of the best best NFL teams to you know the wire, but we really should have you know put them away after the first half. So you know it's really on the offense. You got to be better. I got to be better. So yeah, make better throws when guys are wide open and don't turn the ball over on first play of the second half. So I mean, if you take those plays away and I throw Tank a good ball on that one play, the game is flipped over. So you know, I got to be able to be better during those moments and you know take it on the chin like I know how to, and you know the sun will rise up tomorrow hopefully, and you know go play the Cowboys on Monday night and try to have a good game there. So yeah, it's not a time to you know feel bad for ourselves. It happened. You know, we got to learn from it and move on.
All right, C.J. Stroud at the podium, and we've talked about it before in the show. You hit on it earlier. A professional approach from a guy who's only in year two. He owns the mistakes like any quarterback or any player. If they know it's on them, some of it's on them. I love what I heard out of C.J.
I'll be honest with you. We have to. I think last year, if we're honest, nobody thought the Texans would do what they did. Right. So now you come into this year, you make the offseason additions, and then now that fast you're spoiled. You're expecting super greatness all the time. Year two head coach, year two offensive coordinator, year two starting quarterback. You're in a good situation.
They're way ahead in that quote rebuild, right?
Way ahead of schedule. So they're going to be growing pains, right? And it's tough when you're in the growing pains. But what he did, take responsibility for it, say it's all on me, I have to improve. That's a leader. And that's what you want in that locker room. If you're a player in that locker room, you're looking at him like, okay, we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons Joe Mixon has a lot of confidence in his team, because he says he's been a part of special locker rooms, like when he was in the Super Bowl with the Bengals, and he feels that same feeling with these guys. There's a closeness. We're around them every day. There's definitely a genuine camaraderie. They don't point fingers. They don't talk about each other in any kind of derogatory way ever, whether it's in the interviews or not in the interviews. These guys genuinely like each other. They're friends, and they hurt when they don't do well. Like John Weeks, very accountable, a rare high snap for him. He feels awful about it, and it didn't, you know, affect the operation on what could have been. Maybe that would have been the game winner. Kyrie Fairburn pushes it left. These are things, the little things that are hurting this team, and it's not just one guy. It is all across the board, all across the table.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Inside the Texans. We're going to be back. We got more to get into. We're going to talk about Joe Mixon. We will hear from Joe Mixon as well. Also, some of the other players inside the locker room after a tough 26-23 loss to the Detroit Lions last night at NRG Stadium. Inside the Texans, coming right back. All right, welcome back to Inside the Texans live here at KPRC2. Great to have you with us. Inside the Texans live every Monday. We appreciate you tuning in 11 to 11:30 as we recap the previous game the day before, in this case, the night before. Randy McIlvoy, Aaron Wilson, Cecil Shorts with you. Let's continue the discussion, guys. We heard from D'Amico. We heard from C.J. Stroud. Let's get back to Joe Mixon, and we got video as well against Detroit. And what stood out to you? And we're going to start with you, Cecil. What did the Lions do to shut down this running game last night that had been successful in recent weeks?
Man, they were aggressive at the point of attack. I think Aaron hit on it earlier. If you look at how many plays they were already in the backfield when Joe had the ball, even on the double reverse. Remember that double reverse? They were already in the backfield. They were very disciplined with their assignments. And when they win that gap, right? DJ Reader, for example, if he's in charge of the A gap, he gets to the A gap and doesn't budge and doesn't move, then as a zone scheme, you can't move him. It's hard for Joe Mixon to see the holes and understand what's going on. So they did a phenomenal job coming into the game. Like, hey, our job is to stop the run. And I hate to say it like this, but we're going to make the Bobby Slowick and CJ beat us in the pass game because they've been struggling, and they did an awesome job.
You see some of these plays, just your point right there, Cecil. I mean, the minute he's got the ball, you've got Lions right on him already with contact.
They're on it, man. They did, and I think the linebackers did a great job just kind of scraping over the defensive line and filling the hole. They did a really good job defending the run.
I'm watching some of the great film work by our camera crew there at ground level, and you see how they defeat blocks. They do it very fundamentally. They shed, then they run to the ball, they gang tackle. They are all over the ball, and you gotta love how Aaron Glenn, who is a Houston area native, how he's got these guys playing. It's passionate football, it's commendable. They play in the embodiment of what Dan Campbell wants, and just watching all of these plays, you see where would he have to run? He'd have to make the craziest run ever to break all these tackles. These guys are sound tacklers. They're fundamentally good, and they have talent. They aren't all big names. I don't care. They pay a lot of these guys a lot of money. This is an outstanding defense.
Look at the highlights right now. How many white jerseys are around Joe Mixon? Like, that's what you want in the defense. There's not one guy making the tackle.
3 of them, 4 of them right there.
Multiple people flying to the football.
Yep.
And look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. They're flying to the football, being physical. That's how you play sound.
So was that a
defense.
team meeting, a Lions team meeting there on the 35-yard line?
That's what it looked like, right? But that's going back to Dan Campbell, that offense, to Aaron Glenn, they're doing a really good job. 11 people to the ball, and they knew, again, they had to stop Joe Mixon because he is the train that keeps running.
I'm sure that was a message all week in Detroit from Dan Campbell. Dude, keep your eye on 28. Listen in now. Let's hear from Joe Mixon after the loss last night.
Obviously, it's a tough one. You know, those games like that, them ones hurt. But, you know, at the end of the day, if that's the NFL's best team, I think we'll be all right. You know, but I definitely feel like, you know, come back to work, own your work, lock in to the details, and, you know, just get ready for the next week. We at that pivotal point, and we just got to look ourselves in the mirror, keep our heads up high, no matter what nobody talking about, and we gotta be better. I mean, it was a stout front, bro. I mean, I had my old teammate over there, and that boy's a certified run stuffer. And then also, you know, 54, he's a monster as well. But they came out, they was playing physical. It was a physical football game, both sides. And I felt like just when it come down to it, you know, the little miscues and mistakes, that's what killed us. Because, I mean, we was real close, bro. I felt like at the end of the day, when it come down to it, I got to take initiative, you know, myself, and it start with me. I got to play better for my team. I got to be better for the team, and I will. That's a playoff atmosphere that we just, you know, went through. When it come down to it, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been on the winning side. I've also been on the losing side. Today was just unfortunate. I was on the losing side. But when it come down to it, that's what we're going to get. That's what we're going to see. And we got to put our best foot forward, you know, going forward. And I honestly feel like we got all the guys in this locker room to be able to be what we want at the end of the year, which I highly feel like we will. You know, it's that point in the middle of the season where, you know, things happen and, you know, there's no excuse. You know, that's a game that we should have had, we did have, and, you know, obviously it slipped.
All right, Joe Mixon, after the loss last night, you heard it right from him right there. He said, this is a game that we let slip away. We had this game. We're at the point of the season. We can't let that happen.
Man, Joe Mixon has become one of my favorite Texans. He's very real when you talk to him.
Man.
He doesn't sugarcoat anything. Yeah. He's straightforward, and he has that dog in him, right? He has that monster that just wants to get out there and play well for his teammates, for himself, right, for everybody around him, for the city. And I think he's grown to love the city. And he's right. They got to get things together, and I think they will.
You can't fake that kind of authenticity, and he has the credibility not just for the kind of football player he is, but really the mentality, because he is a butt-kicking football player. Yeah. He looks like a linebacker. He's almost 6'1", 220. Yep. This guy's tough, and he's fast. He's got contact balance, and I feel like they let him down last night.
All right, we just got a few minutes left. Real quick, we're going to run a soundbite. It's only like 30 seconds. More from the locker room. Real quick, listen in. I want to hear what Derek Stingley Jr. had to say last night.
This one hurt. But I mean, all losses hurt. We'll just get back next week, or whenever we do meetings again, we'll just go over what we got to do better, try to fix it. We feel like we could have a better record, but at the end of the day, you look around, we know what we got in the locker room, the people we got, and the job that we can do. So just go out there and try to do it. I mean, once we watch the film, we just figure out what we need to do, and then after that, it's on to the next, whoever we play next.
All right, Derek Stingley Jr. I didn't hear any panic out of it, which is great. He just says, hey, it's clear. We got stuff to work on. But we were talking, too, and, you know, we know what's coming up. I'll get to that in a minute. But Derek Stingley Jr., confident that they can get this turnaround.
He's been playing lights out, too, by the way. And the way You had to be an extremely confident guy to kind of, if you watch the post route or the deep route that was thrown to Jameson Williams
Yes.
from the Lions,
Yep.
and how he kind of timed it up, let him get a little bit in front, and then jumps up in front of him like he did last year in the Denver game and almost pulled that in. He's playing at a high level, and yet that's why you see the confidence. He's playing at a high level. He understands he's healthy. He's getting better each and every week, and he knows, hey, as a collective, we're going to be okay. We just got to put these different things in place and really finish ball games.
Textbook cover guy, and he's not the only one making a lot of plays. Jalen Petrie, Kalen Bullock, Kamar Lasser before he got concussed, 2 picks. This is a very talented secondary they've assembled. I got to give credit. They've hit on these picks. Nick Caserio has gotten these evaluations right. And Derek Stingley Jr. has been everything they could have hoped for and healthy this year. And I think that's a big difference for Derek. I love the way Derek shadowed it. They should have had 6 interceptions. He said that in another part of the interview. And it would have been 6 picks for the Texans. Maybe that 6th pick, maybe that makes a difference.
I'm still trying to figure that out. 5 interceptions by golf, and you still lose the football game. All right, we got about 3 minutes or something close to that left. Let's move on because this is what's next. You got to turn the page and get ready. Texans and the Cowboys, it will mark their 3rd consecutive nationally televised game. So far, they're 0-2, Jets, and then the loss last night to the Lions. This is a Cowboys team, if you're following it. They've lost Dak Prescott. They're reeling right now. This is a game you got to go get and dominate.
I hate to put it this way, but I think it's a must-win. I think it's a must-win for you as a
Just the middle part?
Just the middle part. Like, hey, I know it's not in division or even in the conference, right? But you should beat this team. They have Cooper Rush in. No offense to him. He's an NFL player, but he's not
Dak Prescott.
He's not Dak Prescott. You should go there. You should dominate. You should kick butts and then get back on and you have not an easy schedule, but a favorable schedule after that next 2 weeks before the bye.
There's even a potential wrinkle that Trey Lance could be out there. They put in some plays. He played better than Cooper. It was pretty bad by Cooper yesterday to the point that maybe we see another quarterback change.
We got about 90 seconds. Injury update. We knew we did not see Nico activated, but did not play last night. What are we expecting here? It should be good to go against Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm expecting full participant Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm not expecting a setback. He's 100% healthy. As we reported, we never said he would play. We just said he would get to that stage. They made a decision to wait another week. They made a safe choice with his hamstring. That's their prerogative. And now Nico and this offense can start to click. I think he's the missing ingredient. You get him back, you got that dynamic playmaking presence. He doesn't even have to be open to be open. He's 6'4", 215, running a 4.4. You can just lob it up to him.
Do you think that when the Texans made that call, they knew what the results were earlier today and the whole division lost yet again? Did that play? You think that played any factor in holding him out again, knowing the Colts lost? And
you know what? I just think I was always told when it comes to hamstrings, once you feel great, wait 1 more week. And I just think there's being conservative about it. Like, hey, let's just take care of him. We understand the bigger picture here. We need him for the long run. We got some tough games coming up after the bye week, and then you got playoffs.
So, all right, we got about 30 seconds. Cowboys, Titans, and Jags are the next 3.
Yes.
No reason why they can't win 3, and then we're going to play. Hopefully, forget about what happened right now.
It should be 7-4, 8-4. You have a possibility to be 9-4. Now you're back in the top 3. Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. Forget what happened.
I think they run the table, and I think the sky stops falling on Texans Twitter and whatever else. People can stop pushing the panic button repeatedly.
All right, we are out of time. Cecil Shorts, thank you. Aaron Wilson, thank you. Thanks for watching Inside the Texans. We'll do it again live next Monday here on KPRC 2+.